Yo, there we go. What's up, dude?
What's going on, my man?
How we going?
Awesome, dude. How are you?
Every day above ground is a phenomenal day. Yeah. Thank you.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. You want to have a fun conversation?
Man, let's fucking do it. That sounds great. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Yeah, man. As I mentioned when we talked, when we scheduled this podcast, I feel like this is going to be an easy conversation because we have a lot of similar interests. You've
Hmm.
interviewed a lot of my favorite internet people, between Human Vibration, Ryan, my bro Ryan. I fucking love that guy.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
Brandon Joe Williams, Crazy Pickle Man, who he might rub some people the wrong way, but I don't take anything personally, and I love the information that he's putting out there.
Hey, at least he rubs, you know?
Ex-
Some people don't rub at all.
That's exactly right, my brother. That's exactly right. Um, but yeah, I wanted to start with where I usually start with guests that I haven't had on before, and that is your origin story, dude.
Shit, we talking from vagina or what?
Yep, yep.
Okay, so from vagina, it's been interesting. A long road. It was very dark, and I remember it being warm. And there was a bright light, and I popped out. A lot of cool things, interesting things happened. Traumas and whatnot that mold you into who you are. You get to surmount those things and move into a greater, grander version of who you are.
Have
And then you
you,
find
I
yourself.
gotta interrupt there though. Have you actually recapitulated your actual birth? Like, have you had a plant medicine ceremony or just a moment of like clarity where you actually had this memory? Or is it
No,
more like, okay.
yeah, I was just being satirical. But no, but I do know that that's possible.
That's why I had to ask. I was like,
Well,
wait a
I don't
minute.
know that I'm that interested in it, to be honest with you.
Heard that.
Number one, I'm not interested in seeing what my mom's vagina looks like. That's kind of just one of those things, I suppose. And then number two, I get the miracle of life of it all, but it's sort of like going back to relive every moment of third grade. Like I'm not interested. Like that's an expenditure of energy that seems to be counterproductive to the momentum of where I'm headed, which is forward.
Right.
And actually, in the present moment, which is building this incredible momentum constantly, right? It's that's really the focus. So no to the greater degree of it, but it sounds interesting. I think that it's fascinating people who have experienced that. I know that one of the co-authors of our book, which I'll promote here, because we might as well look at you mentioning shit.
Absolutely.
So we have a publishing house,
Okay.
Ridiginal Publishing. It is a poly word made up, meaning ridiculously original. And this work in particular, we published for an amazing author named Philip Kinsella, incredible spiritual medium out of the UK. Very cool dude. You should totally have him on. And then the Eternal Avatars, this work, and Chris John Mays actually has done this. He has a section in here actually where he talks about recapitulating his birth and going
Mhm.
back through that process. So these guys are awesome. Cover art, by the way, by Curtis Sopel, this incredibly cool artist from Canada. Just a delight of a human being, but also just an incredible artist. So Ridiginal Publishing, Eternal Avatar, you can find it on all sorts of other places. And while we're here, dude, right? We have The Girls and the Demons Deal, same cover artist, Kurt Sopel. We just loved him. Authors get to pick their cover artists, so they just both really liked Curtis's work. So this is Girls and the Demons Deal by Eric Hollerbach, a comedian out of Austin, incredibly cool memoir, and just a wonderful job. Same thing, Ridiginal Publishing. So you guys can check it out. But further to the point, Chris John Mace has done that birth John, he was cool with seeing his mom's vagina, which I think is fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. But I just haven't and wasn't and probably won't, man. But it sounds interesting.
I agree.
So from there, it was just a musician for a while. I taught myself how to play guitar about 15. That took many roads, and I really thought that that was going to be the avenue, right? I toured China at the age of 25 just by myself, and had an incredible experience in that for a month. I was just my guitar and I and a bag of clothes to drag around, and that was an incredible journey. That led me to a U.S. tour, which was great. I did an West Coast thing, um, multiple states in a couple of months, and that was a blast. So really, music was everything. I wrote, produced, I played many bands,
Yeah.
a variety of disciplines, like lead guitar playing in a country band and lead singer, lead guitar playing a screamo metal band, like just anything band music. And then that led me to the acoustic stuff, and that's the guitar I drug around China over there. But yeah, so did music for quite a while. But in between all that, moved out of the folks' house at 18, right after 2 days after graduation. Actually, it was an interesting experience to pull from that, and that was a lot of, I guess, I'd say fodder. It's really more fuel. It's not trauma. I see trauma as fuel now, right? So it was a lot of had to get the fuck out of there hastily at the moment. But looking back, of course, hindsight, absolutely grateful for the experience. And it led me on a really cool journey to being able to sit here and speak with you today. Then got into, before my second tour of China, actually, I moved up here to North Texas to take care of my grandmother who had Alzheimer's. And it just said that, look, I don't know what's going on. I just can't take care of myself, blah, blah, blah. So I moved up here, took care of her. She passed, met the wife. And then the wife and I have been together, it'll be 12 years this year, married this year, 17 years together this year. And so worked for the man for like 10 years, throwing beer around, and then quit that to do my show Expanding Reality full time. And that took a 4.5 year ride, which then led us to Ben and Aaron of Mysterious Universe. It's an incredible podcast I absolutely loved and adored and still do. Looking to get new hosts for that thing. And so my buddy Joe and I put in out of hundreds of folks, and we got it. So now Joe Hodgson and I are doing Mysterious Universe full time, and it's fucking incredible, man. It's wonderful.
Awesome.
It's been a blessed ride.
Were your parents religious, or how did your worldview
Oh, yeah.
develop as a child? Okay.
Yeah, very Southern Baptist raised. I mean, did the whole thing, right? You know, folks still they're at church probably today. They very heavily influenced by that, and then therefore I was as well. And that was a beautiful opportunity to break out of. That was a very nice first sort of level. Are you paying attention? Sort of thing. And the religion was a nice one because it was so the way. You know, it was just that's the only answer. There are no other answers. And it was that certainty, honestly, also in my folks that allowed me to go, you know, because they were so sure about what they knew. And I got no shade to throw whatsoever. If they weren't exactly who they were, I wouldn't be who I am, which means that I wouldn't be prepared to do the things that I knew that my lineage was ready to do, which is clean all that shit up. But it needed to be formed in a way that was proper for the cocoon to really be settled. You know, your folks pack in, I feel like they tuck you into this cocoon of programming. And the way I've described it before is like you come out of the womb, you know, this beautiful bright light, and you're shining and you're running around everywhere, and people are like, oh, and they're trying to dull you down. They're like, God, just sit down, shut up. You're bright. You're too bright for my, you know, dullness. And if you look at it that way, then really the dullness is just simply you sticking beliefs and what your parents said and ideas and labels and things like that on you, which are black goo that cover and dim that light so that you're not so bright, so that you fit in, so that you're tolerable to those around you who've done the same. But you're, you know, not only saddled with that stuff, but you're the one peeling it off. And it's a painful process. We look at the metaphor, but you're stripping all that away and shining that light, which is beautiful. And it's this part of it that's enabled a lot of interesting change. But again, if my folks weren't so settled on this in black and white, man, that was it. That's where I found my gray, was through this certainty of black and white, and my inability to accept that.
Have you ever heard of the book The Four Agreements?
Oh God, read it probably 30 times. It's one of the most recommended, bought, and given away books. We have a thing in Texas called half price bookstores, and they're just incredible. I wish them everywhere. They're basically just resale shops for books, right? So I've been going to these things for well over 20 years, all over the state of Texas. Houston, they have them all over. And one of the most bought and given away books by me, it was two. It was The Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh and The Four Agreements, Don Miguel Ruiz. And those, I just bought them and gave them out as many places as I could go. And yes, sir. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Great work.
Yeah, everything you were talking about there is the domestication. I mean, we're literally just domesticated animals. Our programming from our school teachers, our church leaders, our coaches, our parents, our grandparents. It's just, you know, the dream of society, the dream of the planet, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It is at a perspective. And I've really, man, it's been a ride as it is, and it's going to continue. And I get that. I'm not saying I'm to any part of where I'm at. And here's what I'll preface before we go any further, actually. First of all, thank you so much for having me on, dude. You're a badass, and you've been very sweet about rescheduling. Right when you reached out, we were getting the Mysterious Universe gig. And so it was this transition and, you know, all of this. So thank you for your patience. You've reached out honorably to your word. I said, hey, reach out to me this time, and you did. I said, then, oh, hey, reach out to me this time, and you did. So again,
that's the first agreement.
Well, right. Be impeccable with your word. Very well done. But just outstanding. So just wanted to say that first and foremost. Secondly, that I'm not a subscriber of, I guess, ultimate truth. I feel that really what we're all experiencing is temporary truths. And that if we can admit that where we are is just simply where we are with the information we have, with the perspective we have. And even from that grand, here's all I know and can feel and sense, you've got such a narrow bandwidth as far as your sound 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz is not that wide of bandwidth, and you've got infra sound as well as dog whistle type frequencies you're not even accessing. So would that color your world if your hearing expanded or your vision expanded a little bit? Would you know more? Would you be able to receive more? Right. So this idea of permanence, like that, I've got it all figured out. That's an ego's. I feel that once I've detached from that, that's and understandably so, you can relate to it. And this is why I feel we were programmed, by the way, so we could relate, but not be stuck in, not
Mhm.
speak from a silver spoon place of have never had experience. We really went through it, but feeling that way allows you to just skew it in a whole new direction and to be able to see yourself as this really beautiful evolving thing that can stand on that. Man, I just know what I know at the stuff at the time, but it's not a belief system that I adhere to, so therefore if anything challenges it, I've got to defend rather than perhaps investigate and see if I can alter. And it goes to a line, and I talk about this a lot. Have you ever seen that movie Dogma, like Kevin Smith film from the, I think, late 90s,
I,
2000s?
I do know what you're talking about, but no, I never saw it.
Oh my God, just get it. It's you can't get it anywhere, by the way, guys. And this is one of the most interesting things too. You know, Chasing Amy, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, all these other films, Mallrats. You can get all Kevin Smith's films except Dogma, and it's fascinating. It got picked up by Warner Brother, I think the Weinstein, and he bought it and wouldn't let him do anything with it. Didn't stream it, just kind of vaulted the thing and really didn't want it out. There's some copies you can find on Amazon. We got a DVD copy on Amazon. That's how we got it. So get Dogma. It's phenomenal. There's a character in there played by Chris Rock. It's also hilarious. So there's a character played by Chris Rock named Rufus, and his character on the train says something to the effect of, "I don't have beliefs, I have ideas, because ideas are easier to change." And that's the whole point. If you're sitting here defending beliefs the whole time, you're missing the new obvious things. One of the greatest things in the world I've ever done was let go of something toxic because it felt like the world itself was sitting here going, dude, we got something amazing to hand you. You just got to put down this attachment to this thing so that we can fill your hands with this amazing thing. And when you really start to release that bit of it, that's a big change. But this idea of beliefs over ideas, man, that's the whole thing, because then it allows you to flow. It allows you to surrender into new things and not need to know the answer to everything, and to know that you can tear a system down without knowing what the result of it will be, meaning that you don't have to look at something like gravity and go, look, gravity is just simply a theory. It could much more easily be explained by electromagnetic properties, where it's a much more of an electromagnetic system, and in exchange in that degree, or even a law of density, which would then explain the law of densities rather than this other force of spinning bodies, which hasn't been proven. So when you start breaking down just simple assumptions in science with a dollar sign, then you'll get some very interesting results with that, because then it allows you new paradigms of thinking. This actually physically expands your vision. If you want to think of it that way, you're increasing your bandwidth to be able to receive new information, because you're now reclassifying the potential way that it's organized rather than this fixed finite based on these laws, principles, and things that, number one, you didn't investigate. Number two, you didn't see for yourself. You know, if you want to go down the honest about it list of things, someone else told you that shit.
Yep.
And it's the observables really that you focus on.
Absolutely. Yeah. Just to be 100% transparent, I like this Toltec worldview. I live by the five agreements, and everything that you were just saying aligns exactly with that. Like when you were talking about defending your beliefs, there's this part in one of the books by Don Miguel Ruiz Jr. where he talks about the quest for truth versus the quest for being right. Because
Man,
if you're questing for truth, then you're open to challenging your own beliefs. And if you're questing to be right, that's when you need to defend your own beliefs. That's when you close yourself off. That's the opposite of expanding reality. That's contracting reality.
that's right. That's right. And it will not lead you to the mysterious universe, which is beyond expanding your reality. You've nailed it with this. Now, what's interesting is I use the metaphor. I lived in Houston, Texas for a while, which I don't wish upon anybody. If you're in Houston, shout out. But I lived down there for about 8 years. And one thing I noticed when we first moved down there is that when you're at a red light, if it turns green, don't go right away. Okay. Yes, you are correct. Legally, you can go. You have permission by that little light up there that says you may now venture out. But what we learned about Houston is that folks blow through red lights. No red light is unran. Okay. Nobody stops running it until it's been red for a minute. Nobody considers that intersection close. So what they'll do is they'll honk like crazy as they come flying through the intersection, knowing that it's red, just letting you know, probably not a good idea. If you pull out, yes, you're correct. Okay.
Yeah.
But I'd rather be alive than right any day. You see what I mean? And
Yep.
so it's this exact metaphor, man. And it's by this defending of, oh, well, it was my green light. You're absolutely, yes, sir. Yes, sir, it was. But look at what occurred because you do live in a dynamic environment that you're in surrender and flow with, you're in co-creation with. So it's a constant check. I think this
Yeah.
realm is asking you two questions all the time. Who are you? Are you sure? And that's it. And really, it can be reduced down to that. Anything in the perceivingly external reality is simply doing that. Who are you? Oh, you're this. Oh, you're this podcast. Oh, you're this thing. Oh, okay. Are you sure? And it sends you, are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? And those little things. Oh, you misspelled that guest name. Are you sure? Are you mispronounced it? Oh, it sounds like the audio sounds like shit. Are you sure you're this badass podcast? Are you, oh, you're not getting these plays. If you subscribe to that, that's an important metric to go by. You go through the gamut of it. And those are all your are you sures. All you got to do is keep showing up for it. That's it.
Yeah.
Keep saying yes.
I,
Yes, I
I
am.
always tell myself, like, even if I have 10 views, that's 10 more than like 99% of the people out there that don't even have a pod. Like, okay, even if you don't like podcasts, I think a lot of people aren't even putting any expression of their art out there at all. They're scared to express their art.
Which is changing, which is great because folks like you doing it are the reason that then folks can be inspired. And I feel that this AI nonsense, this over appropriation of AI, because I don't think there's anything wrong inherently with the tool. I think it's again how it's being used. We use AI for the show. I got two graphics to generate per week, and I'm not doing that by hand, and I can't outsource that to an artist. It's not practical. But we do
Right.
have a practical application tool, just the same as I type notes up rather than handwrite them. It's a tool. It just simply depends on your relationship with it, right? But in the same way, these algorithms and things know numbers and views and likes and all of that horseshit, every single bit of it.
Wow.
Downloads aren't counted as they're only counted the ones that download, not the ones that listen. Now, how many times do you download a podcast? I never did, by the way, and I listen to
Yeah.
thousands of podcasts.
Yeah.
So
Same.
my votes basically weren't counted, meaning that if the podcast host was taking that as a metric, they were being psychologically affected to think that they weren't being listened to. It. Your reach is far further than you think, and far further than any metric will honestly reveal to you. And that has to do with when you start being monetized. Monetization then comes in melees, is what it's called. It's in thousand counts. So now it's thousand counts, but that's of downloads still, that bullshit metric, not of listens. So it's not showing. Now there's another private ledger that shows how many people are listening, and that is far larger than the content creators ever going to be aware of, and for many reasons, Bubba. And this is why you can't rely on, use, or be influenced by those metrics whatsoever. It's got nothing to do with you. This is the third agreement. You can't take it personally because it's got nothing to do with you.
Yep.
And it's a
Yeah.
beautiful understanding to come to. I'm out of the comments section. They have nothing to do with me. I'm not in comments. If you got, that's not where to reach me. It's I'm creating content. We're creating books. I've got all sorts of things. I have a 10 journal series set that I've done. We do 2 shows a week on Mysterious Universe. We've got a ranch. I've got so many things that we are doing other than bullshit, and none of it has to do with checking numbers and metrics. I'm not sitting here obsessed over any of that shit, and
Yeah.
so it's just not where my power goes, man.
No, art is supposed to be, I think of the metaphor, if you're an archer, it's not yes, at the end of the day, your goal is to hit the bullseye, but you do the practice of archery because you love
Love of the
the
game.
art of archery. You know what I mean? You love the whole process of it, the whole journey. That's why you do it. You don't do it for the result. You do it because you love what you're doing.
Yeah.
And then I did want to just go back to when you were talking about the Houston intersection thing. That was reminding me of a question that all of the Ruiz Toltec masters ask all the time. And that is, do you prefer to be right or happy?
Yeah. Oh man. God, what a great there another one to that meme that I love. Two dudes standing there talking. One guy, oh man, you look so happy. What have you done? And he goes, oh, I just stopped arguing with stupid people. And then the other guy goes, oh, that's fucking dumb. And he goes, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, exactly. It's an evaluation of your own energy. You know what I mean? It's like you got to defend your energy, or
You
at
don't
least
even defend. You
yeah, it's
state.
not even
Stand
defend.
up.
Exactly. Exactly.
Stand up for
That's
yourself.
exactly. I was about to correct myself because
You
of
caught
that one word, but it's, I guess, protect though.
if you feel that you're being challenged, and this is the other thing, protection infers that there's challenge. Fighting infers that there's a battle.
Right.
It's these things, right? So,
It's a discernment. Yeah, the
yeah,
Toltecs say warriors refrain, victims repress.
Yeah, and the idea you'd rather be, but also take care of your shit, handle your business. And this
Yeah.
this has to do with being a warrior in a garden over a gardener in a war. You don't
Yes.
want to be
Yes.
some pacifist dude sitting
Right.
there thinking that it's love and light and he can manifest with his heart chakra the ability to take this sword and plunge it into the enemy. There's a constitution required for a defensive disposition, but once achieved, it doesn't need to be defended. And that's the whole point. You are then the warrior in the garden. There's no battle to fight because you're willing to face it, but you're willing to face it honorably. That's a Florence Scovel Shinn thing. Are you familiar with her work?
Mm-mm.
So Florence Scovel Shinn was this word slut, I'll call her because I love her. And she was from the 1920s and just was in the Napoleon Hill era
I
and
got you.
was a skank for words like I am. Like I love, have you ever heard of Laurel Erica?
Yeah, you had her on, and I think Ben Stewart had her on as well.
Oh, rest in power, man. She was a delight. We absolutely live on through her. One of my favorite word reevaluations of her, because she heard words like I do musically, because I'm a musician. So she heard them and saw them phonetically. And she said an epiphany is a sudden recognition of the obvious. And I love that. I just like, oh, I sit in that. It's so warm and nice because it is. The things are right in front of you. And a lot of the things we talk about are these epiphanies. A lot of folks haven't seen, I'm not saying haven't, just are looking forward to the opportunity of someone shining the light on themselves the way that other people see them in a very true way that other people's
Mm.
shining the light see themselves in. So it's this altruistic reflection rather than this superficial nonsense, which is prevalent, but waning for sure. But yes, this idea of happiness over correctness is the correct way because the combativeness still is just simply looking for engagement. And once you realize that, you withdraw. A toddler just wants to be argued with. You ignore it. Oh, that's the power. And the same thing with think of a cat. If you've got a cat and you're chasing after that cat, what's it do? It stays right out of your reach. It'll lay down on the ground right in front of you. You step up to it, gets up and scoots off because you want it so bad because you're chasing it. But if you turn around and go, fine, you walk into the house, you can't get 3 steps away before the cat's tripping you, trying to get to you. So it's this idea of just engagement is what it's the chase. Oh, you're watching the news. Yeah. Therefore, I mean, even if you're sitting here going, that's bullshit, it doesn't matter. You're getting the engagement. It's getting you're not creating while you're doing that. Are you fishing with your son while you're monitoring the situation? It's like, it's just an interesting trade-off and an allocation of energy. This is
Mhm.
where, again, the refrain and verbiage comes in. This is where it stops being a battle because you stop fighting yourself. That's the real
Yeah,
the
that's a
most
great way to put
evil
it.
thing here. The biggest enemy of yours is right in between your ears. That's it.
Yeah, for sure.
Heal
For
that.
sure.
And for many reasons, we can get into mineral salts. I mean, mineral deficiencies are prevalent. I can't state enough about the importance of that. Tissue salts, as they're called, also. Um, Depression hates a moving target. You guys get up, move. That's a big
Mhm.
thing too. Moving your physical vessel in harmony with these tissue salts is big. Your mental fortitude. What are you consuming? Where are your distractions? Choose your distractions wisely. These things. And
What if you could completely transform your mindset, unlock clarity, and step into the best version of yourself? What if there was a natural amplifier to help you get there faster? I'm not your typical coach. Think of me as a personal trainer for your mind. I help people break through mental barriers, build powerful habits, and create lasting personal transformation. And I use a unique tool to amplify the process: intentional, guided cannabis work. The transformation starts with you, your mindset, your patterns, and your goals. Cannabis is not the answer, it's the amplifier. When paired with intentional coaching, it can deepen self awareness, dissolve mental blocks, and accelerate breakthroughs. At Canna Clarity, the focus is always on you, your growth, your clarity, your purpose. Cannabis is simply a companion on that journey, used with intention and reverence to support the real work of becoming who you're meant to be. If you're ready to transform your mindset and curious how cannabis can support that journey, I'd love to talk. Visit canna-clarity.com to book a free discovery call. Your breakthrough is waiting.
Now, I'm glad you brought up mental fortitude because I'm Ryan's protege. I got the cannabis coaching certificate and I'm making it my own. I'm infusing it with this Toltec wisdom that I've I'm 36 now, so it's been half my life, literally. And they one of the things that they talk about is in order to break an agreement, you have to put the same amount of faith in making a new agreement or breaking it as you did in making it. And so I feel like I've kind of reached the point where I'm basically right at the point where I'm completely breaking out of my domestication because it's been 18 years of practicing these agreements versus the 18 years of domestication that came before that. But I wanted to circle back to something that you talked about when you said you don't think that there is objective truth. I think that is very right as soon as you begin to put it into words or begin to share like your perception of truth. As soon as we begin to like put a word on it, God, consciousness, nature, we've already distorted what it is.
Mhm.
And one of the metaphors that the Toltec talk about that I love when it comes to this discussion of objective truth is like, and you were mentioning about how other people kind of close themselves off to being able to see those expanded bandwidths. And it's like there's the light. Even the word light is like me putting a symbol on it. So I've already made it a virtual reality, but there is the reality beyond the symbols. And when we study that, or when we, academically, we call that science, the study of of objective reality. But then as soon as we've put our perception on it, our words on it, that becomes a virtual reality. That's the world of sound. And they say, you you cannot show the world of light to someone who only lives in the world of sound. If they're only living in their story, if they're only believing what they've already been conditioned to believe, that just that belief is constricting their bandwidth because that energy is going toward a belief rather than just seeing.
Beautifully put. How do you describe a rainbow to a blind person? You may have
Precisely.
all the words, but you aren't going to get close to what the experience of it is. And this is what it's about. It's about tangibility. And this is why also it's important that we focus on the digital or the use of the digital, but honestly the analog. We print everything. We have ebooks for these because we live in a real world. We're not Luddites. But it's a tool, but we are tangible folks. Man, I printed journals that you color in multiple pen colors. Right? This whole experience. It's get into analog, but also again, there's a marrying of that beauty there. And back to Florence Scovel Shinn real quick. The metaphor that she uses with the ladder, she talks about fear. She said that this lady that was terrified of ladders one day came to her and said, I need to get this fear of mine fixed. She gave her a mantra, sent her off. The lady said, just face it. Just pretend like it doesn't bother you. The one lady then goes to her bank that she needed to get to her safe deposit box. And of course, there's a ladder there because this is the reality we live in. What you fear, it's boop right there in your reality, right? So a ladder presents itself that she needs to walk under to get to her safety deposit box. Rather than sit there and lament and fear and all of that other shit or angstily go through it, she turned around and walked outside. Said, fuck it for the minute. Stood outside for a few moments, collected herself, remembered the mantra, said, you know what? Actually, this is silly. What was I doing? I'm just going to go back in there and walk under the ladder. It's no big deal. She goes back in the door not a minute later, and guess what? Ladder's completely gone. She has an unimpeded path all the way to her box. This is the metaphor of it. You face it. You greet it with a smile. You let it know you're not scared of it because that's where its power lies, right?
Yeah, no
And
kidding.
in this ideal of molding new perspectives that we're able to then use the language, which I agree is both things, which is why I brought up Florence Scovel Shinn, because it relates to Pao Chang and word magic. And honestly, if you've gotten into law at all, law is absolutely governed by language.
1,000%.
Yes. So you look at the quote in the Bible, which is what it is. It's not necessarily the story of a savior, but it's got some interesting things in it. Just as the man in there said, right? The homeboy to all, your words will condemn you, your words also set you free.
Yep.
And so if you look at the concept of spelling and that language and that in the English language rather, we are taught to speak what if we're upset or feeling an emotion to say I am fill in the blank. And when you start doing that, if you look at the work of Emoto, we can look at the study of water and how much of that you're comprised of and what language does and really what spell casting and language and words are. And again, this is what Laura Lerica was so beautiful at, was words themselves, the energy of them, what they really meant, not what you heard, but by what you heard, what they were intelling. And the idea then is that if you readjust the way you speak to yourself, the way that then your cell is controlled, the way then you replace things. So I'll give you a couple examples, actually. Some of my favorites are replacing the word busy with productive. Okay, busy is like a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, doesn't get you anywhere. But productive, man, that's a whole different vibe, isn't it? It may entail or offer an excuse for your time being filled for a reason, but it doesn't imply that you've been jacking off the whole time.
Right.
You've got sick versus purging. The S word in our home is a curse word. We don't say it because it's not true. And it doesn't describe our disposition. It can if we choose for it to, but it doesn't. We're purging in that case. And we greet those with wholesome, and we know that our bodies know what to do, and we're grateful for it. There are these type of examples, and it's really in the speech and the language, and that's where it's unbound, and where it gets really fascinating. And but also you can see where this I am is so important. If you then think about it in terms of how the Arabic language functions, rather than saying I am angry, they say anger is passing through me. What if we just taught our emotions as that they were passing through us, and we just considered ourselves a vessel that was more than capable of being able to render those solutions necessary, and to know that we're great channels for that energy, and to know that it's useful and necessary and part of our co-creative power to create here, and just treat them as passing through me rather than I am this, I am angry, I am this. Anger is passing through me. Happiness is passing. Joy is passing. Bliss is passing through me. You got all these wonderful things that maybe you just, that one refrain of the language. It sounds silly. Oh, it's just a word. Is it?
Emotion is another example of I do think it's important to try to communicate in general, just for sharing stories and sharing our experience. I'm not putting the idea of trying to communicate down, but it's still, it kind of reminds me of the world of light and the world of sound. When we put words on emotions, oh my God, we've probably got maybe 100, if we really get nuanced, maybe like 200-300 words to describe emotions. And that spectrum is like infinite. You know what I mean? Most of what we experience actually falls in between happy and elated, or sad and depressed. And you know what I mean? And then, even then, it's like I say the word sad, I have my own connotation of it in my brain when I say that sound and that symbol. And if you didn't speak English, you wouldn't even know what I'm saying right now. You know what I mean? It's like this decoding that's going on as I put the sounds into the air. They hit your eardrums, and then you're decoding it based on your experiences of sadness. And we might come close. We have an idea of what we mean, but it's never exactly what it's like you can't cross the same river twice.
This is why subjective experience is truly the true navigational force here. We can pretend that we're in an objective reality, and that's debatable even.
But well, I do think we experience an objective reality, but the moment that we share that with somebody else, we've already distorted it.
But even our experiences of it will bifurcate dramatically. The second that any different experience happens to another cell of individuals, even if it's the same exact thing, twins, if they walk through hand in hand being exposed to the same exact information and the same exact connotation, same exact way fed, same foods, blah, blah, blah. What if one of them sees a butterfly and the other one didn't? Now that reality is completely different than the other one. Now you're talking about a dramatic bifurcation. Therefore, every single step that either of them take from there on out, though genetically identical, and the best example we can use, they're going to have dramatically different subjective experiences of a potentially objective reality. Because think about it. Objectively, ghosts and Bigfoot and shit like that are being experienced by people, but not by all people. They're being experienced subjectively. They're objectively in our reality. Bigfoot's a thing. It's walking around. Many people have said that they've seen it. I have not. Many people then will say it's invisible and you can't. Then you have different colorations of the experience of the thing itself.
Right.
The whole concept of really the divide of that none of us are in the same place. None of us. We may think that we're running around the same arena, the same arcade, if you will, but none of us are experiencing it the same to any degree.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said, but I also want to bring in the element of time. Like in that moment, that one twin saw the butterfly and the other twin didn't, that moment is already passed even when they go to share it with each other. Like even this moment, like everything that you just said is already past. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like only the moment is true in that objective reality sense, but it's like, it's so fleeting because the moment we begin to describe it and it's hitting your ear, my description of it is hitting your ears, it's already past. You know what I mean?
I got another great one for you, and you're absolutely right. You gave me a great inspiration for this on the same level here, is that it's like a song. Okay, a song is, let's say, 3 minutes long. Okay, one split moment of it, one note, one holding of a note, that's one frame of it, and that's the moment you're talking about. But we know that a future song exists and a past song exists because we're right in the middle of the damn thing. Now, it's also interesting to this exact same point. My wife fascinated me because I would listen to songs decades, man, heard the same song over and over and over and over
Oh
and
yeah.
over and over and over, broken down the bass parts, broken down the guitar part, all this stuff. I'm a musician. I listen to different elements of songs. She came into my life and opened up all the songs that I'd listened to my entire life new to me because she would hear things in them I didn't. And then she would sing little backup parts that I never knew existed in the song. And I was like, what the fuck is that? So she had a new interpretation of a thing that I'd been in the heard thousands of times. And to the same degree, this is why when you said, have you read the Four Agreements? I said multiple times because each time I read it differently. I'm different when I read it. So therefore I'm able to
1000%.
perceive in new ways, new concepts, all of this stuff.
Don
And so
Jose literally says that in the introduction to the Fifth Agreement.
yeah.
He's like, the four agreements are magic. You read it one time, you start applying the agreements to your actual lived experience. You come back and read it again. It's literally a brand new book because you're picking up on all of the things that you missed. And like you said, I've read it 30 plus times myself. It's literally a new book every time you read it. There's going to be at least one sentence in there that you read it before, you've read it 30 times before, but it takes on so much more meaning because of some experience that you've had in between all of those readings.
And this is a brilliant point to bring up. Okay. You're 100% correct. Let's yes and this thing now. But what's happened? Have you only been reading the Four Agreements 30 times in a row?
Absolutely not.
Of course not, which is why when you come back to read it, you have new information and new eyes to see it through because you've gained new information. You've read other works, you've seen other things, and now you can apply those to a work in existence, which is holy shit, what a magical thing, you know? So that means no two experience, because let's say you've only read it 29 times, and then you read 10 other books in between all that, and then somebody else had read it 30 times, read 12 books in between all that. That's a completely different experience of everything. See how like minute it is down to like, oh, it took me a second longer to button my button than normal. My life is now in a completely new reality. It's a fascinating way to navigate this place from a real whole perspective. And it's more of a, and this is I feel where you get to more of surfing rather than being pushed around by the ocean that you find yourself in, where you actually are on a surfboard and you can ride it anytime. It's not that it's easy. It does take some skill and work and learning and how to do it. But man, once you figure it out, that's the way, you know, just to surf this place rather than being batted around by it, being told by it what you are. Fuck that, man. You know,
Yeah.
beautiful, dude.
Have you read any of the Toltec books outside of the Four Agreements? The Fifth Agreement, Voice of Knowledge, Mastery of Love?
Yeah, voice knowledge, mastery, love. Fifth Agreement, I started, didn't finish. And do you consider like Castaneda Toltec stuff?
Yes, yes.
Okay, yeah, yeah. Castaneda's got a stack. All those right there, Castaneda. Yeah. Oh yeah, very interesting work. The Nagual. This would be that quantum foam or that permeating force that I think is very interesting. This sort of idea that the jinn or like a, I just call it a teacher, like it's an employee of the realm that we find our like the escape room we find ourselves in that facilitates the catalyst for our creation. You know, and I really think that this is what the Trinity actually is all about. This idea of one thing coming together to make a third thing. It's really that we are part one, which is the creator thing one. And we come in as a manifestation of the creator as a force to create. But we don't come into a blank canvas needing to create the paintbrushes and the paint colors and the palette spectrums and all of that. All that shit's here. You're just in a play like a playroom. You just get to go do whatever you want. Now, if you get bored, there are things like governments and atrocities and all sorts of opportunities for spiritual awakening and enlightenment that you can partake in that may or may not color your reality, but they're all part of the experience. And the idea then is to create from the second thing, which is the reality itself. And I would say that that comes with these features such as evil as an installation of it. I don't think that that's inherent in, like, let's say the part of creation. I think it's capable of, but not inherently motivated by. I think it's motivated by the reaction of. Does that make sense? So rather than be evil itself, which is still a creative process, you could say then that the evil around motivates you to be better in ways. And therefore you create a new based on the inspiration of thing two, which creates thing three, your highest, greatest self, or your creations at large. Like anything you do, you know, Eric created this book, Girls and the Demons Deal, available on Amazon, Barnes and Noble in 3 formats. He created this thing because he got his heart broken. He got his, you know, this on the cover here, his heart ripped out by a woman And because of that, he was so inspired, and the alchemy that came of it is this beautiful work of him telling his story and many other things that came out of this as well. So this is alchemy. This is the reason we're here. It's not to be shit on. It's to see that you're the creator, that by being shit on, you're actually kind of into it. You kinky motherfucker. And you actually can create some really cool shit out of it. And that's the whole point, I feel. And it's again through that lens that really offers so much fucking freedom, because then you're just, okay, well, is the listening to the news the palette that I want to create my reality with? Is the being scared of everything all the time the watercolor set I want to use? And if that's the case, cool, go for it. It's a palette of an experience of opportunity. It's a medium here to be explored. But and there's a lot of others too, you know. So
I want to talk about evil now. How do you define evil?
well, and the thing, and then let's go further with it then, because if you can reduce it all, evil, okay, a kid at some point thinks its mom is evil, but its mom's job is to take care of it, to raise it well. If they did right, they fucked you up. But that's another show. But if they did right, you survived, you ate, depending on what your idea of that should have looked like, you're here. And to some people, that's evil. To some people, God is evil. Why would you create life and then murder all these babies with a flood? And the evil exists in many forms. I think the most of it, though, is in your mind. And because
100%, no, 100%. I would argue 100%, but we'll get to that. Keep going.
in your mind is where you have the inability to differentiate between the lessons teaching you something to expand you and the ones actually looking to crush you. Because the ones that are actually looking to crush you are few and far between. That all comes back to the way you perceive it, your inability to greet it with your highest and best. Rather, that's what you have at the time to surmount the thing. That's fine. It's still maybe a door that you can open inevitably, but it's there. But again, this idea of sitting here saying that things are separate than, and therefore I am this and they are that. I feel there is delineation in experience only, but I feel that there needs to be a perception of delineation for the experience to be had. So you have the perception of outer things out there. And that's why I mentioned it earlier. The things that are perceivably out there are really just manifestations of anthropomorphizations of what you are looking forward to surmounting in your own life or expanding on. Really is the whole goal here. It's just, who are you? Are you sure? Yeah, the evil's just an are you sure? That's it.
I see good and evil as the result of believing in lies, or I don't even want to say believing in truth, but just recognizing the power of your belief and the truth of the power of your belief.
Sure. And some could say the material realm itself, evil is live backwards. So live itself is evil. And so therefore, and even when you get down to the numerology of it, 666 is allegedly protons, neutrons, and electrons of a carbon atom. So therefore, if you're in this realm, that's the evil that you'll find. And really the evil is the idea that you're separate, the idea that it's not all going to work out. The
literally lies. Investing your faith in lies, the result is evil.
But didn't you need them to see that they
weren't? I'm not even saying, I'm not trying to put a bad connotation on it.
Exactly. But do you see, though, the value in it, which is why you can greet it with such lightheartedness and joy and reverence, actually. We appreciate that shit. I appreciate all the fucked up, if you want to air quotes that, or trauma.
I appreciate it, but I don't want to relive it. The reason I appreciate it is because now I know how to navigate through it or around it or however I want in order to remain in truth. Mm-hmm. Remain in my power, remain in my connection to creator, divinity. We that's what we are, and that's what lies take us from. That's what brings us into the myth of separation and into the world of lie. It sounds depressing, but it's actually true. And I think acknowledging it is how we can learn to grow out of it. But most people, we're living in an insane asylum. The world is mostly an insane asylum. Most people, 99% of people, 99+% of people believe in lies, and I do too, but I think there is a level of awareness of what beliefs are kind of lies that benefit you in a way. They're not really lies, they're just you're seeing in a clear mirror, right? Because even in a mirror, left is right and right is left. So that's a lie, but it's a clean mirror. You're actually reflecting the truth and the best. You're being impeccable with your word. You're being impeccable with your intent. You're being impeccable with yourself. And that's, I still might tell a story that reflects the truth clearly in order for me to live by that belief, in order to remain aware of the power of my belief. It's very nuanced.
And that's the thing. Belief, period, engages in this kind of back and forth because then it must be negotiated as important. You gotta
Yeah.
substantiate it. You have to value it. You have to say this is more value than other beliefs because I take on beliefs. Therefore, if I believe, I must believe the right belief. And my belief is better because these beliefs are this, and my beliefs aren't that because they are this. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, but see that the word right is where I think that takes you off course of just this
Or
is the
even just
power of my belief.
mine include the colors red, blue, and yellow. It includes the colors blue, orange, and purple. Like it's like this, it's just simply noticing and differentiation. It's and what's great I love, and I love the
Seen,
quote. What's that?
just seeing.
Just seeing. That's it. Just being aware and recognizing. But even then, the observer then therefore changes, right? The Thomas Young stuff. And my favorite quote about belief is Crow 777. He says, "Belief is the enemy of knowing." And knowing is that dope ass. If we're honest, then knowing is what it's all about. You know, belief is horseshit. Knowing is where it's at.
I don't know about that. I would contend with that, but I also, like I mentioned earlier, people have
Marinate on
different
it.
connotations of
Yeah.
these words. And so I feel that
Okay.
on a like emotional, like intuitive level. I feel what he's saying, but I could also argue that knowing includes recognizing the power of your belief, even if belief is simply creating that virtual reality that's not actually real. But for me, we can't avoid having a virtual reality. So I want that mirror to be clean. I don't want there to be a lot of distortion and lies and bullshit for people to not be able to see what that mirror is reflecting, which what the mirror is reflecting is the truth. But you still need the mirror in order to have this virtual experience where we can share stories with each other and have fun with each other. Like there is a benefit to the virtual reality once we start having fun and sharing our love and sharing respect with each other.
Yeah, your ends legis, but knowing it's a reality rather than reflecting something you feel is altruistic, right? Knowing
Right.
it's a third person view rather than a second person looking in a mirror.
Right.
Yes, yes. That's the recognition of all, right? It's the recognition that this is most likely an actor director situation where there is a director who's got it all figured out. It's dope as shit. You are that director, but you don't know that right now. And
There's a
actually,
book
like,
called The Actor that Don Miguel wrote. For you and the type of
oh, I'll
mind,
check
the
it
way your
out.
mind works, The Actor is the one I would have to say you got to check out.
I feel like that's maybe what dreams are. I feel like that because I don't consciously dream that I'm aware of. I wake up every now and then, maybe very few times a year, and go, I think I had a dream. It's just really interesting like that. And what I feel maybe occurring there is this actor. If you look at the yin yang, all this kind of stuff, you're obviously my consciousness is not occupied in this body because this body it requires physical rest at that time. So therefore, as it shuts down, the actor itself is resting, right? Because he's done great. He's put in a long day. Then it feels like that's when the director's planning goes in. And I have no conscious awareness of it, but the director knows exactly what the next scene is and he's pumped about it. Excuse me. And then he is ready for that actor to wake up and greet his new scene each day. And that's the gift that God or the director gives you every single day, which is you. And so again, it's giving you these little nudges, these opportunities, little scene resets, these small little things. And it's a beautiful guidance if undistracted by the noise of what seems to be the realm, because it's not the real realm. It's the thing asking you, are you sure? It's the thing that said, but you said you're an artist and you're standing here watching the news, and you said you're a great father, but you're choosing anger and hate and getting caught up in a bunch of nonsense rather than spending time with your children or building a treehouse or growing memories. Like, are you sure you're that thing? And these are all beautiful distractions. And that's why I say choose them wisely. You know, again, there's no like need to abstain from it at a level, but inevitably just know what it does and what it is. Be aware of like social media, for instance. I mean, I'm just not interested, man. It's just so beyond my priority. It's insane. And yet most folks just obsess, spend their time on it, feel that the metrics are important, therefore calibrate their worth on it. And it's just interesting to see where priorities are. But again, I feel that this is all changing in a dramatic fashion, meaning that more folks are starting to realize that it's way more important in this present moment where they are not on a black screen telling them potentially what it wants them to think that they want to feel like rather than what's actually happening. It's just a weird place right now, man. Never been a
Mm.
better time for you guys to tend your garden and be aware of your thoughts and where you're at mentally and know that it's all a fucking mind game and to play the shit out of it. Like you said, get in there and have fun with it.
Yeah, yeah, and I didn't. I actually went a little tangential earlier, but when you mentioned the mental again, like I'm marketing myself. I don't know that I've ever heard Ryan market himself this way. He might have said something along these lines, but people work out, and you can work out by yourself. You can
Yeah.
be disciplined enough to go to the gym by yourself, and people do that, and that's great. And good kudos, you know what I'm saying? But a lot of people hire a personal trainer, not
Mhm.
because they can't work out by themselves, but they want somebody to hold them accountable. They want somebody who's already been through it to push them past those moments of weakness where they want to give up. Well, people should start taking their mental health just as seriously. And that's what I am. I'm a personal trainer for your mental health.
Beautiful. Yeah.
And yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I got a tulpa I created like 4 years ago called my Thought Ninja, and he's great. Um, he's got his katana is the mantra. I'm grateful to allow, or I choose to allow. That's it. And it's very simple. I don't argue with myself or my head, what I thought was myself anymore. There's no any of that. It's not even an acknowledgement that there's a dissonance there. It's very clean. It's very simple. It took years, man, years, but I feel much stronger mentally, and that's what really is what it's all about. That's really it. You're absolutely right. I would also recommend everybody look into mineral salts. Mineral deficiencies is a huge thing. When you're going through the work of George Carey, the first thing he lists before he starts listing that you got bags under your eyes or mumps or something, he lists mental dispositions first. He lists if you got a fear of money or natrium phosphoricum. I'm just making shit up, but one of these salts is because you have a fear of lack of money. It's all mental shit. It's fear of like confidence, worthiness is the first symptom of this mineral deficiency, this physical thing that's not being put in your body so the builders can do the work. Just take a look at that. I'd highly recommend getting Steve Falconer on. He's great when it comes to dropping that kind of stuff down, but take a look at that tissue salt thing. I think biomechanically it's the answer really for what a lot of this realm has been lacking, which is just foundational building blocks to be able to build itself correctly. And it's been replaced by synthetic things not of the body that then hamper it in massive ways and replace it inauthentically. But your body's ready to be built. It's got a bunch of little workers in there. You just need to supply it with the correct minerals. And one more thing to that is that it is Dr. Carey found, Dr. Wilhelm Schleusler in Germany figured them out, discovered them. Carey is the one that then assigned them to the zodiac and figured out the correlations to the zodiac and the human vessel, and which 12 mineral salts are released throughout the year that you need for your sign. And that really, because you were in the womb for 9 months, you were deficient in 3 of them. So you take your sign and then the 3 after it, and your life changes. Those are the building blocks you are deficient in. And so if you can really get on this concept, and I'm giving you a very small taste of it here, but I highly recommend you guys check this out. What's your sign, man? What's your sun sign?
My sun sign is Cancer, and I'm Libra rising and a Virgo moon.
Oh, cool. I'm Virgo, Libra moon, Leo rising. So with your Cancer, you would want to take Cancer, Leo, Virgo, or Cancer, Leo, Libra, and Virgo. You want to take those 4 salts because you are deficient in those things. And those control, let me see, it's going to be just a lot of major internal organs because it's all based on the physiological breakdown of your vessel. So you'll want to take your salt and the 3 after it. And if you do this 3 times a day for a couple of months, your life changes. Your mental shit clears up. You start making incredible decisions. You will start working out by yourself because you know now that that is just a priority. It's important. And it's a cascade effect of his first book is called God Made Man. I mean, it's really this. He says that you shouldn't die other than accident, like that you're not supposed to die from old age and all these dumb diseases and shit. Dis-ease is this lack of the building blocks.
Oh yeah, I fully believe that tablet in Egypt where the kings are like hundreds and thousands of years old. I don't think that's fairy tale. Like
It could be 2 things. It could be that yes, they lived that long, or 2, that those dates were inserted to insert a 1,000-year timeline into the narrative. Yeah, which is another possibility we can't rule out. But either way, I do feel
I'm open to any of it when it comes to some of this. Our history is a lie. That's for damn sure. I did want to talk a little bit about plant medicine. Mushrooms, cannabis, peyote. Even I don't know if you've ever heard of like Hawaiian baby wood rose seeds or morning glory seeds. LSA is the primary alkaloid in there, which is cousin to LSD for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever used any of them? I would
no.
assume so.
Everything else, and a few more, yes. Yeah, I was a Psychonaut for well over 20 years, man. I had a great go at it. The only thing, I'm California sober, is what I'll say. I've been no alcohol in the past 6 years.
Nice.
No mushrooms. I did the last mushroom experience I had was at Chris Matthews' wedding. It's because I officiated his wedding with him and his wife, and he grew these 5 different strains of mushrooms, and it was in this mountain place in Colorado. It was very special. We like danced over him naked and shit. It was very sweet. So I was like, well, I got to do that. So I came out of retirement with that. But before that, it was ayahuasca in 2021, years of acid, shrooms. I would candy flip as a 20-year-old, as a late teen. That's ecstasy and acid for the kids out there.
Yeah,
Um, all sorts of fun stuff, man. I did it all. Honestly, it was no needle drugs was my rule. Not
yeah,
that I wouldn't do the things that went in needles, just not in a needle. I just no needle drugs.
yeah. I
Other than
feel
that,
you there.
yeah, yeah. Other than that, it was open season, and
I don't
really,
really like nose drugs either personally, but I still
I
think that's
love
probably
them.
a I
I
still
actually I hated them. I just love the way they smelled.
my guy.
But it was a fun time. I regret nothing. I had a great time. I don't think I killed anybody. I don't think I have any kids, and I survived it, and I had a blast. Now, as far as again psychedelics, I haven't. It's like Alan Watts said a few years ago. Just the message was received, and I hung up the phone. And I have had no desire, man. I actually had a pretty gnarly experience on a couple of doses, and that was my hang up the phone, dude. You don't need this is not for you anymore. You don't need this. And it just felt very clear, very true. And now I'm just on a different path and I feel great. Like I said, cannabis is my baby. That's her and
Yeah.
I are very connected in deep ways and have been for a very long time. It's a very healthy relationship with that. And it works for me is the way I'll put it. And like you get. Other than that, that's it. I haven't drank in a long time. I haven't mushroomed in a long time. Definitely haven't LSD in a long time. Coke left a long time ago. All of that shit was easy to walk away from. It really was. It was just that it had its season, and then that season was over. And that's honestly how I feel about all that stuff. It'd take a lot. I think much more than a wedding and someone dancing over them naked that they grew for me to come back out. It felt like that was sort of a great last hurrah, and I don't need to top it in any way or feel that it wasn't received as a great parting gift in any way. And just like I said, I have no desire, not to say that I wouldn't, because you never know how you're going to feel on any given tomorrow. It just, I feel very happy with who I am, the direction I am, and it just doesn't include that right now.
No, that's awesome. I mean, that's their message is to be honest with yourself. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
And to not need anything. I mean, that's the idea, right? If you need it, it's probably I don't know, because I mean, even that's subjective, right? And it's not based on any individual because it's going to be different for everybody, right? I smoke like it's going out of style, man. And I know folks who just some people just keep the 2 puffs and they're done, and that's fine. But it's got nothing to do with tolerance of the reason I do it. It's got nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
really about communion and self, and you get it, thyself. I call them soul sticks. Like that's my breath work, you know.
yeah. Yeah.
So, it's a very intimate relationship in a very interesting way. Now, if that changes one day, I'm welcome. It's welcome to go, and I'll have no apprehension for that. And that's really the game we're playing here: is who are you? Are you this thing? Okay, well, if you get to a certain point in answering that question that something needs to go, are you willing to let that go? And if the answer is no, maybe you're not the thing. And if the answer is yes, maybe you are the thing. It's or maybe you don't need to let go of it at all. Maybe it's not an either or. Maybe yes and exists, which is a very interesting spot that I'm in. Because this idea of this, oh, you have to this and it's prescribed that. No, in a subjective reality, it is the way that I call it. You're gone at that point. That's the whole point, man. I
Yeah.
really think that that's the ultimate, what we're learning here and unwinding and figuring out is you're God and the trip of that, because it's a head trip.
No,
The
that's
responsibility of it, um, the gettingness of it, the owning up to what that means at a level. I think it's very interesting to feel that, because if you're honest, that's the truth. Or I mean, if it's not true, then something else is. And so then the question is what is your God if that's not the case? Even atheists have a God. No God is their God.
yeah. Yes. Science with a dollar sign is their God. A lot of
Yeah, and
them.
with anything, if it's got to be thought about or reasoned through or argued with, it's not the truth. That's just the simplest way you can put anything, honestly. If you got to really think about it, it's not the truth. If you're breaking something down, okay. But it's different if you've got to like really justify to yourself its importance in your life, then it's not true.
Yeah. Yeah. The Toltec, they talk about the silent knowledge. I call it intuition.
Mhm.
Um, I think of it as Knowing without knowing how you know.
That's knowing. That's what you're after right there. Because
Yeah.
beliefs make you argue with them.
Yeah.
They're this, they're that. Are you sure you still feel this way? Well, of course I do. It's my belief. Why would you even be arguing about a belief? I don't argue about my heart beating or my hair growing. It's inherent. It's what it does, man. There's no, it's the way. It's just really interesting. And again, it gets very simple. It gets very simple, not easy, which is also a fascinating thing. And then it gets really simple and easy, which is also great.
Yeah. The reason I am still a proponent of plant medicines, I'd certainly take them much less frequently than I used to. And I've never done ayahuasca, which is that's one that it's like it would just it's calling to me, but it's not calling to me in the way where it's like go do it. It's like right time, right place, right setting. Say yes at that moment, but don't force at that moment, basically.
Lawrence Scovel Shin says, in a perfect way under grace. And
Yes.
really, that's all you can expect anything or ask for anything because no expectations for agreements. But you can just clearly decree that it shows up in a perfect way under grace. That way, when it does, you'll know it. And if it doesn't, that's not it.
Exactly. And that's just kind of how I feel where I stand with ayahuasca. Cannabis, you and with the way you describe your relationship with cannabis, mapped right on.
Yes, sir.
um, Mushrooms, I literally, for the first time in like 3 years, took some what I thought was like a heavy microdose, maybe a light trip, and it was a full blown trip, my guy. And
Hmm.
and one of the messages that I got was you should take mushrooms more often. So
Okay.
I'm
And
probably going to
hey,
go with that.
again, I'm 20 years of being in that message thread. So I'm just a few years out of it. So I'm just on this side of, and I'm 43, man. So I don't know if it's age dependent, whatever. And it's really, I think when I started, because I started when I'm late teens. Moved out of the 2 days after graduation, just started doing anything I could get my hands on with a needle and did a lot. I sold fucking ice. Do you know what ice is?
Like meth?
Yes, like meth, worse than meth, jagged glass version of meth in Huntsville, Texas, to pay rent 1 month. And that was my life for a minute, man. And we take the rungs. You climb the ladder. I'm not looking back at that ladder, going, man, that rung was shitty, or it sucks. I don't like that rung on my ladder. No, that's the step I took. I'm not doing
Yeah.
it now, and
Yeah.
I feel great about that. But the whole point is, yeah, man, I got out. I had to experience psychedelics. For me was a big one. My first was LSD, actually, at 18 in
Yeah.
a CVS parking lot in my friend's Honda Civic, this red hatchback that he had. And he had just gotten a lawsuit from an accident that he got when he was a kid. And he got his lawsuit in when he was 18. He just turned 18. So he bought a motorcycle, he bought hotel rooms, he would get ecstasy, and like we would just party. He was my best friend. So I was also doing all that. And so we were sitting in the CVS parking lot. Guy comes to my side of the car with a Visine bottle. And he said, "Do you want it on your tongue or on a sweet tart?" And I said, "Oh, what do you want?" He goes, "One of each." I go, "One of each." And he goes, "Okay." And he put one on a sweet tart and handed it to me. And then he said, "Lean back." And he put one on my tongue. I'm 18, again, in a CVS parking lot, still in high school. And immediately it hit. And immediately I took that sweet tart and threw it in my face because I was that kind of kid. And so now I'm on 2 hits of liquid acid. We drank, we did coke, we did all kinds of things, also ecstasy. And then, man, it hit. And I was climbing over an overpass freeway in Houston, Texas, over 290. It's major freeway. You know those little catwalks with the lights that shine up on the signs as you're driving under them? I
Yeah.
was hanging my feet off of one of those, and cars were honking at me as I'm just tripping my balls off. I don't, remember how I got up there and down from it safely, but I did. So
That's
this is like
epic.
my first time, and I had a blast. The room breathed, and I didn't know it could do that. Colors were brighter, and I didn't know they could look like that. It showed me that other things were possible. And this was one of the biggest cracks in the dam for me, man, was because it wasn't a black and white world anymore. My eyes saw something different. Now, it doesn't matter if they were chemically altered or not. It meant that then, therefore, things could be chemically altering everything to make them see a certain way, and
Mhm.
just undoing that, perhaps maybe this is the real reality. These kind of things started to enter my mind at
Yeah.
18. So at
Yeah.
43 now, I've had some time with the concept of many psychedelic. I was a psychonaut, man. Had Peter Gorman on the show. Do you know who that is?
Mm-mm.
Peter Gorman's the guy who brought ayahuasca into the American culture. He was the editor in chief of High Times magazine in the 60s. And this dude brought it up. He went down to this amazing tribe that he also saved and got the water rights for their village, like all this really cool shit. And the guy was just an incredible guy. Him, Dr. Rick Strassman, we talked about salvia. Have you ever done salvia?
No. Nope.
Fucking bizarre. I'd done it once and don't care to anymore.
I did smoke a lot of DMT. I was making it at one time.
Mhm.
Probably
Me
smoked
too.
DMT at least 100 times, but I was because I was making it, I was like giving it out to people to like just see what their
Yep.
experience was like. And several people were like, that was kind of like salvia.
Okay, yeah, I could see it's pretty similar because you're just sitting back. You're not, running around driving a car or anything. You're just sitting there and you're taking on a ride, and it's very interesting. Salvia is very bizarre. DMT is similar to salvia, I would say. I felt a little more fun, but again, there was 20-year difference of when I did it. So DMT was one of the last things I did. That was in April of 2024, and it was 23 actually, and it was very interesting. You did DMT, so you knew what was your max hit that you could go before blast off.
Um, like I said, I smoked like at least 100 times. As far as dosage, I mean, it was kind of eyeballing it to be honest, because it was just like the yellowish white. Sometimes it was white. There was a few times it was white powder, which was like that was usually primo, and then sometimes it would have a little yellowish, and then a couple times like orangish tint to it.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I mean, most of the time I was putting it on top of cannabis.
Yeah, yeah. We did CBD because there wasn't any cough associated with it, so you wouldn't cough it out, inherently. So we did CBD flower and threw it on top of that. And I got 3 hits in, which is what they say you're supposed to try and get to.
Hmm.
I got tastes like plastic. It was interesting,
Yeah, oh yeah.
Who am I telling?
The smell
But
is
I get like
interesting.
3 hits in, my hand starts to swirl off. I get a fourth hit in. Now it's really going all over. It's snakes at this point, right? I get a fifth hit in, and man, my vision goes, and I just lay back. And we had a sleep mask thing that I put on. And then in the middle of the trip, about 10 minutes into it, this council of grandmothers was hanging out with me, and they all said, "Hey, we'd like you to go deeper. Would you like to go deeper?" And I just said that out loud to the people in the room, and they said, "Okay." And I said, "Okay." So they brought over 3 more, and I went 3 deep, 3 deeper, and then just kept going for a while. And it was an incredible experience. It was like being greeted. Have you ever seen Roger Rabbit, that movie?
When I was a kid, maybe.
You know Toontown, whenever they show up in Toontown and everybody's dancing and laughing and there's a song and all that shit. It felt like that. It felt like a bunch of folks were stoked that I was back. Like I was at a checkpoint that I may or may not have gotten to, but I did get to. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so it's not that they didn't play a massive role in my life, like huge role. I wouldn't be half of who I am without the psychedelic experiences because it is an inward journey. And that's the whole point here is it's taking yourself out of this idea that reality is this and I can be safe in knowing that it's always gonna and it's this rigid fit. No, fuck no. And if it is that, that's the hell. I mean, really, that's the push and pull of the tide that you're subjected to. But when you can see it differently, then you offer new perspectives, man. That's the change. That's the game changer. And psychedelics offered that. And they offered deeper intuition and insight into yourself, your mission, yourself, not the thing everybody told you you were, yourself. And then it allows you the confidence to be able to practice that. And that's confidence is a series of successes. It's not an overnight, but it definitely helps.
Ever tried mescaline, peyote, San Pedro?
No, actually, those were the ones that eluded me. Mescaline, I was very open to, just never had a shot. And same thing, I knew I could grow San Juan in the yard. You can get it at home. You can get it at Walmart, I think. Anyway, you just go buy it and plant it. But the second you smoke it, it becomes illegal, which is funny. I hadn't gone that route. No, the cactus route, I didn't go much.
Yeah, so I was actually talking about this with my last podcast guest. Like I tried cocaine. My father had a problem with it, so it was kind of like I always kind of like felt it was like my enemy in terms of drugs. But curiosity gave in at some point, and I tried it and had, I dabbled for here and there, never bought it. But I had friends that did it and a few of them even said like, I like doing it with you because you're like not trying to take it all like most of the time when
Yeah,
they
no
share it,
shit. Yeah.
But for me, like even trying to bring a conscious, like well-intentioned mindset to that experience, it just felt like it was always going against where I wanted to go. Even though it was a stimulant, the stimulating part is obviously what appeals to a lot of people. But like mentally, it was just not going in the same direction that I wanted to go. Peyote, I'm a member of the Native American Church, and sweat lodge ceremony is the main ceremony. But 2 or 3 times a year, they'll do a peyote ceremony. And that was the first time I ever did peyote. I never like acquired it or grew it from like a street dealer or anything. And that was, I mean, I always knew set and setting mattered, you know what I mean? But
Oh
the
yeah.
degree to which it mattered was very apparent the first time that I did peyote. And that substance felt like there was no way you could use it unconsciously. It was like with cocaine,
Right.
it's almost like there's no way to use it consciously, in
Yeah.
my opinion. With peyote, it's almost like, no, you can't escape reality with this one. Like you either
Yes.
dive in and be real with yourself and enjoy. And if you really do that, at the other end of that is just fun and bliss and enjoying the shit out of life.
Hmm.
But you have, it's gonna take you there. You know what I mean? It's more, it's a very masculine psychedelic versus cannabis, which is like you really need to set your intention with cannabis. You still want to set an intention, you still want to have that communication with the spirit of peyote, but it's going to take you where it wants to take you for the most part. And but where it takes you, if if you're the type of person that's willing to be honest with yourself, it blesses you with that on, like, as a result of that honesty with yourself, you know?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Just like I'd like to say, there's no off switch on psychedelics, you know. I would take a 10 strip and just like 3 hits of ecstasy and go out into the woods for a while. There's no off switch on that. That's a 16-hour ride, you know.
Yeah, dude, that's a lot. I don't think I ever did a 10 strip, but I did like LSD.
I
That's,
offset it with the ecstasy because it was more fun. I felt,
yeah,
my mind was in a dark place. I was just on, I had a rough home. So, a lot of it was this escapism. A lot of it was trying to just have fun, figure it out, experience something other than darkness. And well, ironically, with LSD, there's a lot of that. And so I would offset it, almost my own little combo there. And it was a lot of fun. And that
that's,
made it made it usable, if that makes sense. But I've taken
yeah.
acid plenty of times without it, and it was very different, very same thing, very therapeutic in many ways, very eye-opening, which is the whole point.
Yeah. Yeah, man. That's the balancing act right there, what you were just saying about the darkness and
Oh, here's another word for you: harmony versus balance.
yes.
Balance requires that it could tip and fall over, and like I picture a
Well,
waitress
that's why
carrying
it's the balancing act.
exactly, and I picture a waitress carrying a bunch of glasses through a crowded room that she's not supposed to spill, or he, whatever, and but that's balance in my mind. Harmony is more like music, and why I related to this as a musician, I like Dawn Lester told me about this. Actually, I love her for this, and then I was like, oh yeah, because this makes sense. Balance implies all things have to be working perfectly and functioning and blah blah blah. Harmony implies that there's still two notes going on. If one's out of phase and there's a little dissonance, it can be adjusted and brought into phase rather than everything
That's
collapse and needing to be reset. So I like the harmony
that is
over balance.
beautiful.
That's another little word swap for you.
No, that's beautiful. I love that. I mean, I still like the idea of balance, but my idea of balance is dynamic,
See, you're
which is
Libra.
harmony.
That's your Libra, and I've got Libra moon, so I get it. Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Yep.
Um, yeah, this was a great conversation, man. We covered everything I had written down. Did you have anything else you wanted to talk about?
Just to thank you for this and just how awesome this was, man. And again, thank you for your character and your patience with this, dude. I really appreciate it. Just a high class act, really, because
Wow.
not every time you're able to reschedule our folks is kind or even come back. And you were both. Like you were kind, consistent, not pushy, and just very sweet. And I'm not doing many of these, man. So, the show is really pretty demanding. But with you, I really wanted to make sure we could sit down and have a good chat, a good chin wag here. And I really had a lot of fun. And so just thank you for your patience and your time and just being bad at it for such a great host and allowing me to diarrhea the mouth all over the place for a little bit.
Dude, that's awesome. That's beautiful. I appreciate you saying that because I don't even like, it's just so default for me to be like that at this point that like sometimes I don't recognize that that's not common.
I know what you mean. Common sense is not that common. Yeah. Yeah. But you've got heaps of it and it's not unnoticed. So thank you.
Feeling is mutual, my man. Peace and love. Keep enjoying this wonderful ride of life.
Hell yeah. MysteriousUniverse.org. Check out these books. Amazon and Barnes and Noble.
Yeah,
The Eternal Avatar, Philip Catella.
I'm going to
And
be
Girls
reaching out to you about some of the guests that you mentioned that I should have on. I'm definitely going to be writing those down as I edit this and reaching back out to you to contact them.
You call me. I'll fill your dossier the next 2 years, man, with incredible guests. Just, yeah, whatever you need. We got plenty of folks that are ready to talk to you. Yeah. Love you, dude. Thank
Love
you
you,
so
bro.
much. Man. Appreciate you. Thank you guys for listening and watching.
Peace.
Bye.
I got that. Yeah, heard them call me conscious. I ain't think about it honestly. My thoughts too deep to process, so I do this all unconsciously. Finally feeling God bless. Got 'em woke up dropping prophecy. Don't take it out of context. Just before, I swear they always sleep. Now they catch the message, yeah. Bet that every song is deep. It's levels in each concept. But I can't just never mono theme. I'm trying to lead this flock for the cause, not the following. People upon a partner, and I wonder why they drawn to me. Once upon a time, I thought to follow up a dream. Draw life about these lines, nothing twice about these schemes, and like thrice about these insights. What I write is like a blueprint for you to comprehend life. That's light, I reckon, make you shine. Never dim it down, even if you live surrounded where everybody vision clouded. Remember, staying down ain't quite as good as getting out. It said, remember, staying down ain't quite as, ay. If you believe, yeah. Many doubted it was hard for them to think. Somehow I'm finally getting out of that's it. Usually, yeah, they vision clouded, but as you can see by now, we finally getting out there, writing truth, spreading love. Tell me how you feel about it. Got this music from above, this how I know I'm getting out there, writing truth, spreading love. Tell me how you feel about it. Got this